What's going on, guys? My name is Captivate. I am going to be reviewing this new plugin, Rezonator, by Xynth. It is $25, which is pretty affordable as far as plugins go. It is, as the name implies, a Rezonator plugin. Works with Mac, Windows, and across multiple DAWs. I purchased this earlier, and I figured I would compare it to some other Rezonator tools and see what I could do as far as sound designing, and then also just give you like a live review of the product itself. So let's take a look. I loaded up a couple different samples and like presets here. Just take a crack at it. This is just a serum preset. So I've got that loaded. I've got, let's see, a Reese pluck I made, a kick, a cymatics percussion, and then this growl sample. And so we're gonna go through all of these and see what it sounds like with the Rezonator. So this is the Rezonator plugin. This is its default position here, I guess. So I guess let's just play around with it in real time and just see what it does. So we have an enable on and off button here. So let's hear the growl with this off. Okay, and let's bring in some resonance. And we're playing right now. Let's see. Oop. Okay, so we got an A. Okay, so let's see. Let's just try a regular minor. I believe when you select the chord buttons, it goes based off of this root note here. So let's make sure our root is on A. Let's do A2. We'll hit minor. We've got E, A, C. Yep. Okay, so that's our minor. So there's a lot of opportunities, and we can keep cycling through these and just see what we like best. Whether I can touch it up manually by putting in the notes I want it to play myself, or I can again just use this chord button. Let's go back to this one really quick. I like how they have the different gains, so you can mix in the app how you want this to sound. I'll leave it at the default for now while we play around with other things. If we want to just hear what the Rezonator is doing, we can reduce this dry to 0. And that way we just have the Rezonator signal. One thing that I noticed that this is going to be useful for is one I guess issue with mixing riddim and color bass is that you'll have your bass sound and then you'll have to either send it to a different channel and then throw your Rezonator on it, and then you'll have to mix them after the fact. But you can do it all with just this Rezonator because this filter that they have in here actually only works on the Rezonator itself. So if you listen here, our dry is at 0, so nothing of the dry is playing. This filter only affects the wet signal. We can turn the wet down to 0 and the dry all the way up. And this filter is doing nothing. So you can use this filter to sort of like pick out the frequencies that you want. You can, like, what I typically do when I make color bass is I will only keep the highs of, I guess, like the color bass, and then I'll keep the lows of the main bass. So we can do something like this maybe. And just sort of mix into taste the main like bass. So it looks like they have a saw wave and a square wave section. This seems to be some kind of saturator. Oh. I like this sound down here. We can adjust the amount of decay as well. Solid. Okay, so they also have a built-in reverb. So let's check this out, I guess. And I believe this only goes for the resonator signal. It doesn't touch the dry. Yes, okay, so the reverb is active and it's not touching the dry. So this is pretty major because, like I said, if you are making color bass, if you're making riddim, if you have multiple layers and you're just trying to add resonance to only the high end, you don't want this reverb touching the low end as much. And so the fact that this only touches the resonator and leaves the dry signal intact is super, super useful for like having everything done in one channel. Okay, let's launch a fresh, actually, so we are in A minor. Let's compare resonator to a couple other resonators that are frequently used. So let's take a look at kilohertz resonator. So right off the bat, the first benefit that resonator has over the kilohertz version is going to be that the kilohertz resonator, you can only use one at a time. So if I wanted to make like a chord, I would need to load up a bunch of these resonators. I would have to essentially, which it's doable and plenty of people do this, but I'd have to take my growl and I'd have to route it to a bunch of different channels, pull up a bunch of different resonator instances, and then the kilohertz one. And then I'd have to build my own chord, basically. And then I have to mix it into a channel after the fact and make sure everything worked out. But let's see if I can make something that sounds kind of similar with this. Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the scope of what you're able to do, the kilohertz resonator definitely pigeonholes you a little bit into just making adding one note of tonality, and you only have the decay, the intensity, and the mix knob, and you would just need to have a bus channel for the direct, the growl itself. But with resonator, you can have the dry signal go through unaffected. Let's compare this now to Rift's resonator. So Rift, of course, multiband distortion plugin, pretty recently released by Minimal Audio. Huge fan of this plugin. Let's go with an A minor simple resonator. Okay. So, as you can see, we're in A2. So you experience the same issue when you're using the Rift resonator, that you can only have one note at a time. And again, this is affecting the whole signal. So if I wanted to have the dry signal go underneath, I'd need to like put this at 50%. And I suppose with this air quotations resonator, I do have more that I can adjust here because this is a distortion plugin. But if you adjust too much, it stops working as a resonator. This is just sort of like thrown together as a resonator, just using the tools that are available in Rift. Whereas resonator, you can't really mess up too much. Okay, so that's for a growl. Let's hear how this sounds. Let's start from scratch here. Let's do this kick. So this kick from oversampled is in the key of, let's see, F. Okay, so it's an F. So if let's pull up Rezonator. All we have to do to add tonality to this is we just select. Let's do a lower F because this is a kick. And then let's do major this time. So you already have something colorful. You have something that just has a little bit extra dimensions to it. And if we don't want it to compete, again, because this is a kick, so we probably want to preserve the true low end here. Just playing around with how this adjusts. Yeah, let's try to make some kind of like reverby, like high end on this kick. Let's crank the F up here too. And we can do some panning too. We can maybe let's do like a 20 left, 20 right on the first two. And then we'll do like a 55. And there we go. We've got a kick with a little bit more tonality. Okay, let's start fresh with another one, and let's take a look at what it can do to this. So this is just from Cymatics. Let's grab the key that this is in. Okay, so this is in E. Okay, so in E, let's crack open Rezonator. Okay, let's set it up. E4 like that. Let's do a minor. Let's try one more. That on its own sounds pretty cool, but let's take this from scratch. So, let's try. So this is just a growl in the key of D. Let's throw on Rezonator. Try to get some tonality. Let's select D2 because this is pretty. So we're already getting something even with just keeping the root note on here. Let's see. Like, that's not bad. Let's go, maybe we put this up to D3. I kind of like this better. Okay. Let's do a major chord this time. That sounds so full. Super colorful. So as far as sound designing goes, like as far as comparing this with the other heavy hitters of, I guess, color bass, melodic rhythm production, let's compare this. So we just have this growl. Now the go-to, just chuck it on and see what happens, is of course pitch map. So let's see how this does. Let's set this to D major, just listen. So these are obviously two different tools. Pitch map is going to take everything that is out of key and to a varying degree put into key. I feel like pitch map has like a signature sound to it. Like you can almost tell like when a producer's using pitch map just because it has. I don't even know how to explain it. It's one of a kind. You can definitely hear it. I feel like Rezonator. It takes the same like I guess colorful aspects of pitch map, but it doesn't have that same like. I guess like whiny high end that pitch map can sometimes has. I mean, both sound great, of course. If you can sound great in comparison to pitch map, I mean, it's definitely a very good thing. That's not a fair comparison. Let's do kilohertz convolver. And let's just go ahead and load synthetic major 7th. So again, now we're comparing convolution with a resonator. So not exactly a fair comparison. As far as getting a pretty clean, like all-in-one, like we're ready to add some distortion, we're ready to compress and like move on. This needs some work. And the only thing I can adjust really is the tone. The feedback, which honestly, I hardly ever find this to be terribly useful beyond like 10% either way. I mean, there's definitely a multitude of benefits to using kilohertz convolver. in terms of like just throwing in whatever you want in here. And there's a lot that you can edit, but if we're just trying to add tonality, and let's say I want to make color bass, I just want something that sounds like a fat chord stack. This, with just this plugin, I feel like I am close to a finished product. Like this is ready, even if I took off the reverb, I'm like ready to move on almost. Like this, I've added the color. I still have my growl under here. I've got the color bass part up here. I can just go on and like add some distortion, compression, reverb, and move back into the track. Whereas this needs work. I'm not like happy with this. Let's see. And it's going to take me quite a bit and quite a few other tools to like actually get what I'm looking for. I might have to root out the growl itself. There's just a lot more legwork to be done. I might have to bounce it to 2 different channels and then compress in a different channel. As far as saving space works and just like getting something to move on to the next step, Rezonator, I think, is doing a great job here. Mostly because of this filter. And yeah, and just having multiple areas to pitch up. Having different states, I think, is great for just playing around with what works. I wonder, does it save this? Yeah, okay. For just playing around and like going back and just having an easy comparison. So I think as far as like condensing channels and just trying to make a sound that that sounds relatively good in proceeding, this seems to do a pretty good job. I guess to sum it up, my final thoughts on this product. I think first of all, for $25, it's a really good deal. Even if color bass isn't your thing, I mean, why not pick it up? It's pretty cheap as far as plugins go. I think as far as the sound design aspect, with the chord feature, you can get something that's pretty similar to Pitch Map at a way cheaper cost. There's lots of tools, like plenty of things to play around with. So lots of sound design opportunities, whether you make riddim, melodic riddim, color bass, dubstep maybe. I'm pretty stoked about this, honestly. I'm excited to do some sound design sessions with it and just see what I can make and see how this could be incorporated into my general music project. I appreciate you guys taking the time to check out my review. Definitely check out this product. See what other people are saying about it. Decide if it's right for you. But I'm a big fan.